G'day everyone, Matt here. Really excited today because we're going to be kicking off a new video series called Barbecuing With. We're going to be getting together with notable personalities from the barbecue community, and they're going to be showing us how they like to cook their favourite proteins. So without further ado, let's take a seat and introduce our first guest. All right, so for our first guest, being a team from Hamilton, we had to pick a local, and what better local to pick than Jared Macdonald. So welcome and thanks for joining us, Jared.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
For those who don't know you or perhaps are unfamiliar with you, just maybe give yourself a bit of an introduction.
Yeah, cool. So I started barbecuing about 2008. Pitmasters was very inspirational, but the person who actually got me into it is a friend from South Carolina who I met overseas and really introduced me, and I kind of fell in love with it straight away. I am a qualified chef, so it was kind of like I was already a foodie, and barbecue just seemed like the most amazing pairing of masculinity and chefing and cooking.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I went off the barbecue deep end, I'd say, in 2009, built my own pit, started Texas Pete's Barbecue, our restaurant here in Hamilton. We have 2 restaurants here. And then, of course, to meet our own needs for a barbecue appliance, we started Octopit. So I was really the founder of both of those brands. And then we have cooked competitive barbecue in New Zealand under More Better Barbecue, which that's a story. The name's a story for another time.
Yep. Very
We've
good.
We've done reasonably well at that.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely have. Okay, so having been in barbecue for as long as you have, you've obviously cooked a lot of barbecue. What's something that you still enjoy cooking?
I really like a dry rib, just without all the mop and sugar and all that. Just pork and seasoning and a bit of smoke. Beautiful. So I guess if we're going to cook anything, I'd really like to give those a crack today on the multi-Q.
Sweet as. Let's get into it.
Okay, cool.
All right, so today we're not really going to concentrate on the trimming of the ribs. If you want to check that out, you can check out our other ribs video in the card up the top of the screen there. So today we're just going to look at seasoning. So Jared, do you just want to give us a quick talk about what you're going to be seasoning with today?
Well, I personally am a big fan on pork of a sweet heat. Sweet with a little heat if you live in America.
Yeah, pretty classic
So
profile.
today I want to use one of my favourite sweet heat rubs, and I'm also going to just show the viewer how to put together a sweet heat rub.
Awesome. Do you want to take us through that then?
Yeah, well, let's go. So the rub today that I'm going to be using on my first rack is this Executioner rub. This is from the Barbecue Superstore. It's one of their own rubs, so you can only buy it from them. Now, this has got salt, sugar, all of the normal stuff in it. And then for my second rub, I'm actually going to show you one of my own personal recipes of how to put together a sweet heat rub. And as you can see here, I've got 8 ingredients that we're going to combine. Okay, so we've got 20 grams of flaky salt in there. We've got 20 grams of black coarse pepper. We've got 20 grams of onion powder. We've got 20 grams of garlic powder. We've got 20 grams of smoked paprika, and this will give us colour, but it will also give us just that hint of smokiness. And now it's time to add the sweet heat. So we're going to add 20 grams of brown sugar. We're going to add 10 grams of chili powder. And our last ingredient, just to give it a little bit of lingering heat, is 10 grams of cayenne pepper. And then just take one fork and just stir it up. Try and get all the clumps out of it. And your finished rub should look something like this. All right, I'm good to go. We'll have a little taste. Perfect. First rack of ribs is going to get the Executioner. Start with the back. And I want a nice heavy coating of rub. And if it's too salty, then change the rub. Don't put less on, because I just feel like you should really get the rub, all the ingredients. If it's too salty, then it's unbalanced as a rub. The rule is cover and hide the meat. You got enough when you can't see meat no more. Happy with that?
Okay, so a lot of people that I've noticed in different videos or various people doing ribs, they put mustard on as a binder. What are your thoughts on doing that? You're not doing it today, obviously. You're pro, you're against. You got any thoughts there?
I'm against. I don't care if people do as you want to your own rib, but I don't really see that you need it. And if all it's doing is binding, I can just bind without it. So it's one more ingredient to carry, one more ingredient to screw up, one more ingredient to have go wrong. I also find that it creates a little pastiness to the rub, and then that can prevent what I think it prevents a little bit of penetration on the flavouring. So I'd prefer to just leave it off, to be honest. And if you're having trouble with your rub sticking, that's because you're not putting it on early enough. So these ribs, now that they're rubbed, we're going to set them to a side and let them sit for at least half an hour for that salt to just work those flavours into the protein. No binder necessary. Okay, got my second rack. Now, got a little bit of rub left over. Inflationary times, we're going to just soak that all up. It's not going to make that much difference to my second profile because there's just not enough of it. And we've got the homemade sweet heat here. And you'll note straight away that this rub is not as dark as the other one. And one of the reasons is that the other rub's been sitting around in my workshop and the paprika's gone dark because it's got a little wet. Whereas this rub we just made with fresh ingredients, so it's a lighter colour. So don't let that put you off. Nice even covering. And there you have two beautifully seasoned racks of ribs ready to hit the cooker in about 30 minutes.
Okay, so on the same, I'm going to do 2 racks of ribs. Both my rubs are going to be store-bought. I won't be making up my own today. So the first one, we're going to go a little bit Texan style rib and just use an all-purpose seasoning. I'm going to be using the Steph the Maori rub one out. So I want to get a nice reasonable coating on there. Same as Jared, I don't particularly like to use any binder underneath. I just use the moisture of the meat. I'll let it sit there for a good 30 to 40 minutes before we put it on. And that's just going to help bind that rub to the meat. Give it a little pat there. And for our second rub today, we're using the Heavenly Hell Cluck and Hell. This is actually a chicken rub, but it has a lot of the same good things you're going to find in any good rib rub. Your salt, your pepper, your sugar, your paprika for that colour. And it's also got a bit of a kick to it, which I really like in my ribs. A bit of sweet and a bit of heat.
What do you love about the Heavenly Hell rub there, the chicken rub? What do you like about it most?
I like the same thing I like about a lot of the Heavenly Hell stuff, actually. It's got a real good flavour punch. They're not subtle flavour profiles, which I quite like. It's got a really good flavour profile. And I know the sort of little bit of sweet, little bit of heat is a real common barbecue flavour profile, but it's common for a reason, you know, it's good. I think I timed that pretty perfectly. That's about the end of that shaker. So there we go. We've both got our 2 racks of ribs seasoned up. Let's go check the barbecue and make sure that that's come up to temperature.
We've got a firebox set up with the briquettes, Kingsfords in this case, set up towards the air vents going in to really give it as good precise control as we can. We're using that long firebox divider to keep all of those briquettes over to one side, away from being directly under the meat. And then we're going to use this long hanging bar configuration that we have, which is a 316 stainless hanging bar. So as you see, we've got these 4 beautiful racks of ribs that have been sitting for about 20 minutes now. And you can see, particularly on that first rack that I rubbed up, you'll see that that has really started to pull a lot of moisture out of the rib. And you can see that sort of pooling effect on the outside. And the other ribs are starting to also come along with that. They'll all do that as we let them sit and let that rub work in. We're going to use a meat hook to go through the rib, and then we're going to hang it down next to the fire. And this is going to do a couple things. It's going to cook the rib really nicely because you've got the heat going past the rib. So we're going to get a really nice golden brown mark-free finish on the rib. And it allows us to also flip the rib backwards without leaving dirty grate marks on the back of it to give it a really nice golden brown. a moment of truth. How long have we been going here? About 3-4 hours?
Yeah, about 3.5 hours, I reckon. Yep. Should we have a look,
This is it. Let's get them out. Yeah. I'm really happy. They're nice and dark, which is what you get. We're looking for that bark like you would have a brisket, nice and dark.
Yeah, that's a good looking rack of ribs right there.
Yeah, we'll lay them out and yeah, they're beauty.
All right, so these two here are your racks.
Yep.
Oh, I can feel the flex in that. That's nice. That's well done. And here's my SPG, all-purpose ribs.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they look good.
They do look good.
And my
Heavenly Hells.
Heavenly Hell ribs. All right, what do you say we get these inside, give them a slice up and see how they go?
Yeah, let's do it. So we've done a great thing, Matt. We've cooked some naked ribs.
Love it.
With no further ado, let's have a look at how they turned out. This is where you cue the pornographic music. Now, I wish you had smell-o-vision, because these smell, oh man, they smell just porky and aromatic. So I believe this one's one of my ones.
Yep.
And I believe that's my first one. That was the rub from Barbecue Superstore, the Punisher one. And nice and tender. So we've got this one on just the end here, grabbing a random rib. And I don't know if you can see that, but that is
tender, beautiful
beauty. So we won't eat just yet. Shall we just?
Let's get them on the board.
And I'll get the next rack cut. So here's my second rack, which was this was the one that was the homemade rub. Matt's homemade rub, because I made it in his house. Oh, these feel real good. Look, it should be a rib fest, right? These are really well hooverable. So I'll jump over here, Matt, and you can
do the switcheroo. All right, so starting off here, we've got our Heavenly Hell rub on this one. Definitely pretty meaty, these Prairie Freshies.
How's the texture on those guys looking?
Feeling pretty good.
What a feast. That's it, the Heavenly Hell bark. Beautiful look to it.
All right, so there's that first rack. You've shown them a shot of that.
Yep, indeed.
And this one here, we've got our SPG, or all-purpose Texas-style rib. Real keen to see how these go.
I'm keen to see how they go in my belly, mate.
The boys are hungry.
One of the things I love about cooking them naked is you just get that beautiful build-up of bark, and it gives you an amazing texture.
All right, so we're going to give these a go. We've got Nathan, my young boy here. Let's dive in and grab a rib each and give these a nudge, eh? What do you reckon? Which one? Go Heavenly Hell first? Yeah, dive in, mate.
Jeez, Louise. Okay, here it is, Heavenly Hell. Texture's perfect.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice twist.
All right, what are we going for next? We'll go for one of Jared's ones, eh?
All right, let's try the Executioner.
Down the back here.
Try the Executioner.
I'm going to grab one of these big bad boys.
I'm gonna go for a big bad boy in the middle too.
Mm. Yeah, that's nice. 2 from 2, Nathan.
It's good.
It's good.
Let's go for the Steph Marty all-purpose seasoning.
We're going to go for this one.
I've got that guy right there.
Grab one, Nathan.
Has an amazing bark on it.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh man. That texture is good. That salt and pepper is so good on there.
You can definitely taste that savouriness to it. And it's got just a few little herbs in there. I can taste a little bit of thyme in there. Last, but not least, the homemade sweet with a little heat rub. Made right here at Matt's home. There you go.
Homemade. All right, I'm going to grab this bad boy.
The sweetness is not as intense. So pick a winner.
Another one.
All right, Nathan, if you had to pick, what would be your favourite?
I think this one.
The salt and pepper one?
Yeah, it was pretty spicy, like it had a nice crust.
Good choice. I did really enjoy the salt and pepper, the Texas style. It's just a nice change.
Definitely my favourite. Heavenly Hell. Chicken rub. Who would have thought? That was good. This is living, people. Well, there you have it. Dry ribs. 4 different profiles for you to try at home. What a great day.
No sauce
Thanks
needed.
for having me.
Anytime. Loved it. All right, so that's us for today. Hope you guys picked something up. As always, if you like our content, give us a thumbs up and a subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you real soon.